You got to consider this, folks. Debt has never been cheaper in fiat terms, measured by a coupon. Buy, and buy, meaning sell the bond, buy Bitcoin. Sell the bonds to Wall Street, like MicroStrategy did, and buy Bitcoin with the proceeds. Do not own bonds, people. Do not own bonds. Own Bitcoin.
Hey, Greg, thank you. You're too kind. The opportunity presented itself, so we took it. But I will make this comment for people listening. Sometimes they wonder why someone would do this. The truth is it's totally rational, and it's a benefit to every single person on every side of this trade. For example, the people that bought those bonds, they didn't have the option. If you bought the equity in MicroStrategy, you didn't have the option to buy Bitcoin. You could only buy the equity. If you bought the bonds, the convert bonds, you didn't have the option to buy the equity unless there was a convert, and you didn't have the option to buy Bitcoin. They had pools of capital, billions of dollars worth. And so the people that bought, sometimes, the Bitcoin maxis, they're like, why would you ever buy the security? Well, I mean, the answer is Bitcoin's up 357% year over year. We're up 346% year over year. Maybe you do better with Bitcoin, but if you had $10 billion and you couldn't buy Bitcoin, but you could buy an equity, then you were basically getting 346%, and that compares to the it compares to the S&P, right? And if we look at the S&P in the last 12 months, you're 35%. Right. So the people that are buying the equity are choosing a Bitcoin equity instead of a non-Bitcoin linked equity. The ones that bought the first convert struck at 398. That was the best performing convertible bond in the entire year, Greg. Like, that was the single best performing bond sold in the entire year. And so the guys that bought the bond, they were pretty smart. They bought the best bond of the year. They made a fortune. Then there's a second bond. You're like, well, why would you buy that? Well, because I can't buy equity and I can't buy Bitcoin and I can get Bitcoin exposure. And then for the junk bond, you could say, I would never loan money at 6 and an eighth. Well, their business is to loan money at 4 and an eighth. And if you're loaning money to Apple Computer, you're loaning it to them at 2 and an eighth. And so Bitcoin fixes everything. And if you inject Bitcoin into junk bonds, you put 100, 200 basis point boost on it. And if you inject it into equity, you put a boost on that. And you really just got to always look at the alternative that the investor had. They don't have the alternative to go with the pure play. Why don't we talk about macroeconomic results for the past 12 months? This is it. We're already on the subject. Bitcoin's
Beautiful.
up 357%. Gold is down 7.26%. S&P's up 35%. Nasdaq's up 42%. And long-dated sovereign debt is down 8%. What's your takeaway?
Well, I'm a bond guy, so my takeaway is sovereign debt is for fools, and it's proving that, because sovereign debt is only a contract, and most of these monkeys have managed debt since my time when I started, when 10-year U.S. Treasury rates were double digits, 14%. But what is a bond? It's only a contract to receive a coupon over a period of time. If you held that original 14% bond through the 10 years, that's what your return would have been, 14% annualized. But everyone thinks they're a trading guru. And what they do after 2 years is they trade in their 10%, their 14% coupon for the going market coupon, which is 10%. And they crystallize a capital gain on their bond because the price of the bond, the 14 coupon bond, is trading at a substantial premium. And they feel like a hero. But the problem is when interest rates go to zero, and then back up to 1.5% in the U.S. Treasury 10-year, guess what the return on the U.S. Treasury 10-year is going to be with 100% certain, not including a potential default. Let's assume the default probability is so low that it is 100% certainty. Your return on the U.S. Treasury over the next 10 years with 100% certainty is going to be 1.58%, where it ended the day after Chairman Powell's announcement.
Today's video was sponsored by Waves.exchange. Waves Exchange, one of the top 10 decentralized exchanges globally, has just launched its first initial DEX offering, and it is going to be massive. Of the 1 billion WX tokens that will exist, only 50 million tokens, 5% of the total supply, will be sold. The scarcity is already driving up the frenzy for these token launch. If you missed out on other Waves projects such as WavesDucks, Virus Finance, SwapFi, and all other projects that recorded huge returns, you do not want to miss out on this amazing offer. You can get the tokens using USDN,